Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm doing week 31 of my 2023 reads. This week I finished an absolutely fantastic buddy read and a really cool sci-fi thriller. Timestamps and content warnings are in the description box below. First, I finished Drinking from Graveyard Wells by Yvette, Lisa, and Ndlovu, which is a short story collection that I buddy read with Kristen at Kristinelle SFF Reader and Angela at Literature Science Alliance. This is a collection by a Zimbabwean author who really does such a fantastic job of melding sort of the speculative with very literary feeling stories. These stories were just so amazing. The writing was beautiful, the kind of speculative elements were fantastic, and really the sort of focus on Zimbabwean culture and history, lots of issues that are tackled through a very feminist and a very anti-colonialist lens. Every story in this had something really unique and interesting to offer, and there's a huge range of types of stories as well, from the ones that lean more heavily into the speculative and the ones that lean a bit more heavy into the cultural or the literary aspects. And it was just so fascinating. I had such an amazing time buddy reading this with Kristen and Angela because a lot of these stories, when you peeled back the layers, there were so many interesting things going on. And as a whole, the collection just really did this amazing job of talking about Zimbabwean experiences. And it was just so good. I loved this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And as long as I can sit down and film it, I want to do a review for this because I think it's just really worth picking up, and it is shortlisted for the Ursula K. Le Guin Prize, which is how I heard about it because Becca had been talking about that at Read Becca. I'll link her below, and it's just, yeah, I'm so excited about this collection, and I really hope that other people pick it up too, so I loved it. The other book I finished was The Spare Man by Mary Robinette Kowal, which is a sci-fi murder mystery thriller. And I don't read a ton of thrillers, but Mary Robinette Kowal does such a good job of setting these in space and being very heavily focused on the science of kind of how that would play out. I think that if you liked the third book in the Lady Astronaut series, you would really like this one because it has a lot of overlap of that thriller, but a lot of the aspects of being in space kind of playing into this. This is set in sort of a semi-far future. I think it's 2075, and we follow a woman who is an heiress and a scientist, and she's on her honeymoon with her new husband, who is a newly retired detective, and they are going on a cruise to Mars, which is going to take something like 2 weeks. And while they're on this cruise, there is a murder, and her husband is the suspect that the kind of onboard police have decided to capture, and she's doing what she can to kind of figure out what's going on and sort of exonerate him. I think that, you know, I'm not huge on thrillers, but Kowal did such an amazing job of drawing me into this story. I was really invested in it by the end and just sort of turning pages. I think that she does an amazing job with the suspense in this and that mystery sort of unfolding in such a perfect way where up until what was revealed at the end, I didn't know what was going on, but I kept having more and more clues and more sort of people ruled out or suspicions or understanding more of what was going on. So I think that the tension in this story is really well done. I think the sci-fi aspects are super cool. There's also a little bit at the end explaining some of the science and some of the other things that are done in this. In particular, there's quite a lot about disability and about service dogs. The main character, the heiress, was involved in an accident quite a few years prior and has major issues with her spine and pain and sort of mobility, as well as trauma and PTSD. And so I thought that that was threaded throughout, and to have a main character who is so smart and so competent, but also dealing with the limitations of her body and her mind. I thought it was just really well done. The only things about this book that weren't quite so much my taste is that the main character is an heiress who really is very privileged, and especially in the first half of the book, there's so much of her just being frustrated that people won't just do things the way that she wants to do them, and kind of wanting to throw her weight around as somebody who's so rich and so famous. And that's a little frustrating to deal with, even though it is called out in the book. You know, she's just not, she's a complex character who's not fully likable at all times, and that's just a little hard at the beginning. The other thing, and I've seen this in the Lady Astronaut series as well, is that somehow I struggle with the way that Kowal writes intimacy. So the main character in this and her husband are newlyweds, and there's a lot of sort of flirtation with each other and checking each other out, and intimacy and things like that, and just somehow the way that it's written just really is so awkward for me. And I love romance, so I don't find kind of on the page intimacy awkward in general, but here somehow just like the way that it's written I find awkward. But those are very small things, and overall I thought this was such a fun book and just really, really gripping and cool sci-fi, so I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, that is everything that I read this week. If you guys have read either of these, if you're interested in them, you have any thoughts, or if you read anything good this week, I would love to hear from you. Just leave me a comment down below.